Hey guys, it's Bree. So today I'm doing my January period talk, January 2016. If you don't know what this is, I do this every month after I've had my period now, or I try to at least. And I basically talk about what happened in my period that month, any symptoms I experienced, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So this month, despite I think what I guess in my period vlogs, what I do is the only times I feel like grabbing the camera is when something's happened. So I feel like every period vlog I do, it seems like it's been terrible, but actually this month wasn't too bad. I could manage the pain. I was able to manage the pain. The only thing I took before my period this month was blackstrap molasses, a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses in a cup of tea for about a week before my period started, and I also took it the day before I was supposed to ovulate. I didn't have any ovulation pain this month. And I know when I ovulate because I like to take the ovulation test strips. I take them not because I'm trying to get pregnant, but because if I take the test strip, I know exactly which day my period's going to come, because I know it's exactly a certain number of days after I ovulate, or at least after I get a positive LH surge, that I know I'm going to get my period. So it's really useful for me to be able to know the exact day I'm going to start, because then I can plan around it. Otherwise I have to kind of have a 3 or 4 day period in my calendar when my period could start, and I'm not sure how bad it's going to be, so I have to kind of keep them clear. So it's easier if I can just know I have to keep 1 or 2 days clear. So that's what I did. It started out, I was cramping a little bit, but I wasn't too bad. So I only took some, I didn't take anything actually to begin with because it wasn't that bad, and I thought I want to every month I try and go as long as possible without taking pain meds, but there comes a point where it really does get so painful that I know I have to take it, because if I don't take it, I'm not going to be able to eat. If I don't eat, then I'm going to feel nauseous, and I'm not going to get any sleep, and then I'll feel even more nauseous, and it's an endless cycle. So I know it actually is better for me to take pain meds, and then to pick at things like, I tend to eat Cheerios because they're little and it helps get something in your stomach. Breadsticks are also quite good, or just like plain rice or something like that. Those are all things that I will eat if I just need to get something in my stomach to take the pain meds with. So I took some Nurofen to begin with, which is like my slightly less strong ibuprofen, and I took that, and I for the next 2 hours or hour and a half at least, my pain was diminishing, but it hadn't completely stopped, and I knew that meant the pain was kind of bad, because usually ibuprofen or Nurofen will knock out the pain, but it hadn't. I was still getting waves of like minor cramps. So after the time period had gone that I could after I take ibuprofen, there's about 2 hours that you can't take any other medication, and then you could take paracetamol. So after that, I think I decided to take, and I got my period in the morning, like so almost as soon as I woke up, so around 11:40 I think, on Sunday last week, or this week even. And as soon as I woke up, I went to the toilet, and it was almost immediately specks of blood there. And so after a few hours, I'd say around 1 o'clock, you can watch my period vlog for this, but it started to get bad. So I took 2, effectively what I could call them more, but they're by Sulpidine, I think the brand is, and they were fantastic. They just knocked the pain out, and I'm gonna remember this next time, because I could then do lots of other things. The only problem was it made me go a bit funny in the head, and they do say you can't drive. Well, they had some like a leaflet about driving when you're taking this medication. I wouldn't want to drive, because I really felt, I guess it felt kind of like you were high, to be honest, because your head was just quite light. I've never been high, so I don't know what it would be like, but I would imagine that's what it's kind of, you know, simulating. And it was great because it meant I had no pain, but it did mean that I was a bit like this, which wasn't so great. So after that, my period was pretty much manageable. I couldn't use any menstrual cups for the first day of my period. I just stuck to cloth pads. Day 2 was fine. I think I managed day 2 with just normal medication without having to take any strong meds, which is kind of what I wanted to do. I always want to go through without taking any pain meds, but like I said before, it just gets too painful. It really does build up. And I know it's painful because I've had periods when I have had period cramps that haven't been too painful. So I know what it's like to just have minor cramps, but I can tell when I'm getting strong ones, and I know how bad they can get because I have been in the past, at least, on the floor and throwing up, and it's no fun. And I live on my own now, so I want to try and avoid that if I can. Also, my mum was in Amsterdam this weekend, so I need it. Even though my dad was here, I didn't need to call anyone. As it happened, I was fine, but I just always am conscious of that in the back of my mind, and I just try and tell myself to relax and to not worry about it. And in general, I don't worry about my period. The only time I would worry about it is when I've got it and I can feel the pain building up, because I know how it works. I have been a little bit worse energy-wise the last few days. I've been going through some new treatment, natural treatment. I'm going to do a separate video about this on my vlog channel, and it's been giving me this like symptoms of fatigue and almost like depression as well. And I just think that was what made it a little bit worse at the moment. I think when my energy levels are better, my period is better as well, because the time my period got worse also coincided with the time that I started getting sick with chronic fatigue syndrome. You should be familiar with my channel, you'll know what that is. So that, I think, was making it a bit worse, being slightly worse in terms of my energy levels and how I was feeling, but that should be temporary, hopefully. I've noticed really recently, and I think it must be kind of low blood pressure, I have been getting cold very, very easily. My fingers go cold almost instantly. Even if I'm wearing gloves on when I'm driving, my fingers will still go cold, like warm gloves. My fingers will still go cold, and my toes tend to go cold very easily as well. And I get dizzy almost every single time I stand up from sitting down or from lying down. And I've been tested for something called POTS, which is POTS. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's something to do with your heart rate. I've been tested by my doctor and by my ME specialist. I don't have that. My heart rate doesn't increase like that. It does increase when I stand up, but it drops back down again to normal levels afterwards. So I strongly suspect I have low blood pressure, or this. I've had this before, but it's a type of low blood pressure when you stand up, your blood pressure drops a bit and then comes back up again. So I need to try and drink more water and eat a little bit more of the good salt, Himalayan salt. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment. To try and balance that out. And I'm also taking a multivitamin which contains iron, so that should help too. I mean, just it's frustrating on that side of things, but in general, my period, the first day and the second day were the only two painful ones. By the third day, I got one wave of pain when I was at my parents' house just after I'd finished working. I had one wave of pain, and I think the main problem was, I think from the second day onwards, or from the evening of the first day, I was kind of constipated. And it's that feeling when you don't quite know whether you've got period cramps or constipation. And I sat on the toilet, I tried to drink lots of fluids, I sat on the toilet for ages, just trying to see if just sitting there would help me to clean out my bowels. But nothing would work. And I think finally by the third day, I managed to go to the toilet. And I think it did help relieve things down there. There's a lot of trapped gas as well, and that's very common when you're in your period, to get either constipation or diarrhea because of your uterus is contracting and doing lots of things down there, so it's very common to have bowel issues. But that was quite frustrating, because I felt like if I could have cleaned my bowels out a bit more, I wouldn't have been in quite so much pain. And that's something I'm definitely keen to kind of think about more in the future, so definitely drinking water and all that sort of stuff. But if any of you guys have any suggestions for how to keep your bowels moving on your period, then I would really appreciate that. I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, the third day I had one wave of pain, but it was barely anything. I just took one Nurofen because I needed to drive home, and I didn't want to drive home in pain because that would distract me. One Nurofen completely solved the problem, and then after that I didn't have any pain at all. And I could use a menstrual cup on the third day of my period, and I also tried out a new menstrual cup this month as well, so that went really well too. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. My period wasn't heavy at all this month, pretty light, so I wasn't worried about that. Pain wasn't as bad as it could have been, and yeah, I managed to cope fine, so that was all really good. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.